What's going on, guys? My name is Tyler, and today I wanted to talk about one of the Paragon remakes, Predecessor. So last weekend was one of the first real alpha weekends for this game, and I say real alpha weekend because they had one about a year ago, but then after that they went pretty quiet and just developed the game for the next year, and that leads us to this past weekend. I know this is way too early to judge, but I felt like making a video to express my super early opinions on a project that I'm really excited about. I understand this is an alpha and this is very, very early, so don't take anything I say as me trying to bring the game down. I want this game to be better than Paragon was, and that's why I'm sharing my opinions now, so hopefully the development process can continue improving the game now and in the future. So for old Paragon fans, first of all, who am I? And as far as Paragon goes, I'm just a huge fan of the game. I didn't do too much in the Paragon community when the game was alive. I was mostly active on the Reddit, and that's about it. I just played the game for a ridiculous amount of time, and according to agora.gg, my skill rating peaked around Diamond. And those are about all the credentials that I have for the game. My YouTube channel is a lot bigger now than it was back then, and I wanted to introduce these remakes to my current community, and I also wanted to introduce myself and my channel to the Predecessor and Paragon community. I want to start covering all of the remakes as much as I can because I do love the game, and this first remake really reminded me how great of a game Paragon was and how much I wanted to cover it back then, so I'm glad I have the opportunity to do that now with these remakes. So anyways, on to Predecessor. I'm going to start off with some more basic things that I think need improvement, and I'm sure the developers have heard this stuff already, but I'm just going to go over it again just to make sure that they're heard. Things like spectating while dead, viewing the item shop in the main menu and not only when in-game, and the super loud notification you get when you find a game. These are some of the more obvious things that I'm sure they're going to fix anyway, so I don't want to spend too much time on these. There are a lot more little things that need to be fixed, but I'm not going to nitpick every single little thing yet. Because again, this is the first alpha weekend, and I'm sure they're receiving a ton more feedback besides just what I'm putting out. There are a few things, though, that I wanted to highlight a bit more. And the first thing I want to start off with is the river buffs. As of right now, I've only seen one river buff, and I would like to see more variation like in the old Paragon. That would keep things more fresh and more fun. Another small detail that I noticed about the river buffs is that the spawn timer seems to work like any other mob in the game. The timing of how this mob spawns was different in Paragon than it is now, and I kind of preferred it the way it was in Paragon. So in Paragon, the river buffs spawned at minute 3, and then they spawned every odd minute from then on. You could essentially get 2 river buffs in a row if you waited until, for example, minute 22 and 59 seconds. You could then kill the buff, and then another would spawn in the second after because it would then be 23 minutes into the game, which is an odd minute. This was a mechanic that I liked because it kept the game structured and added something to think about as the clock went by. We got rivers in a second. I don't know when the river buffs spawn. They're not like as accurate in Paragon as it was in Paragon. It used to be every odd minute, but now it's just like whenever. I think it has a respawn timer once it gets shot out, which is fine. Oh no, I was way too far. Oh, they're fighting? What is this buff? I think it's just the same buff every time. Another bigger thing is the health bars. There are 2 issues that I have with these. First of all, they're just green bars, and this is kind of meaningless unless you hit somebody with some type of damage. A carry and a tank have the same health bar above their heads, and I have no idea how much either one of them has. Once I hit them, I can see that I did a certain percentage of that health bar, and that's pretty much the only way that I can gauge how much health they have and how much damage I do to them. And this shouldn't really be the case. I should be able to see how much health an enemy has compared to their teammates whenever the enemy is visible. The way the original game dealt with this is they had smaller lines denoting 100 and 500 health points, and this was a great way to visualize how much health that someone had. Also, the health bars in teamfights became pretty cluttered. It was really hard to tell who has what amount of health left, and for someone like Murdoch, sniping across the map becomes almost impossible because you can't tell how much health anyone has. The bars would overlap a whole lot, and it just became really hard to tell what I was looking at. This is the original Paragon, and you can just see that it's a little bit clearer to see who is who and which health bar belongs to which person. And lastly, the biggest thing for me, which I know has been covered by others, but I wanted to cover it anyway because it's kind of the biggest deal for me, it's the feedback of hitting anything just feels kind of off. I don't know how exactly to explain it, but I'll have gameplay from both Predecessor and Paragon playing. I'm going to mute everything here so you can get the full feeling of both games. It's a remake. It's one of the few good remakes that's out there. We're up against a gadget? Interesting. She's getting her last hits though, so that's what she needs to do.
First blood.
I don't know why I'm shoving this. So as you can see in Paragon, when you hit things, it just feels more impactful. They're very subtle things that happen, like little screen shakes and the hit markers, and you can really feel the impact that you have on the game. Predecessor lacks that. I don't want them to go over the top, but there are things from Paragon, like the screen shake, that I never noticed until I really focused on what was going on in the gameplay. There are also much better audio cues in Paragon, and I'm sure this is something that Predecessor wants to improve on, but for me, it really is one of the most important things. Audibly, there really is no good feedback for when I do hit something or get a last hit. And overall, there just needs to be more there. You can also see this when you're jumping. Again, I'll play clips from both the original Paragon and Predecessor this past weekend so you can see the difference and hear the difference too. This, I am absolutely loving it. There are some like glaring issues that I have with it, but the game is so like good beyond that. As far as replicating what Paragon was, I can't really complain.
An allied tower is under attack.
So as you can see, or probably tell, Predecessor just feels kind of flat. There's no real depth or impact to some of the movement in the games, and that kind of just leaves the game feeling kind of dull. Another issue with the whole feedback thing, Predecessor, while it doesn't really have that feedback, it also feels pretty delayed with the hits as well. This might be intended, but to me, with the lack of feedback, it doesn't really feel good at all. I feel like when I click, there's a delay in when the hero hits and what I'm aiming at, but this is kind of expected because the guns shoot projectiles, and they have travel speed. And melee heroes have animations and wind-ups before they hit. So all of that is okay, but a lot of the time it also feels like the hits are registered well after the animation makes contact with the target. But like, when you swing, it takes like a good second, and it's like significantly after even the animation. This could be a latency thing, but besides the feedback for hits, I wasn't getting any sort of other indications that I might have been lagging. And I don't know where exactly the servers are based, but I'm in a pretty well populated area on the East Coast, and I rarely, like very rarely, have any connection issues on any game whatsoever, so I really don't think it's a latency thing, but it could be. This delay, combined with the lack of feedback when you hit stuff, really leads to a very unsatisfying experience when doing the most common action in the game. This issue, in my opinion, should take complete priority before anything else. This issue kind of takes away from the game the most, and to me, it should be the number one thing to improve before the next weekend. So besides those few issues that I had, everything else about the game really does feel great. The movement feels pretty good overall, and I'm sure that will improve over time too, and the fights really do capture what Paragon had. I did love the original card system that Paragon had because there were a bunch of different routes you can take with different builds, and you could make those all yourself before the games were starting. But I do understand their decision to go the item shop route because it's a bit more universally known and accepted as far as MOBAs go. And this item shop is made really well for the early alpha, so I don't really have any complaints there. Again, as I mentioned before though, I do wish that we could see the items in the item shop in more places than just in-game, but I'm sure this is something else that they're thinking about improving. But yeah, overall, this game really does do it for me. I find myself wanting to come back and play more. I cannot wait for the next weekend, and I really wanted to obsess over builds and strategies, and I also wanted to look at my stats after every single game. and I can't wait until I'm able to do that in this game all the time. I hope to see the game improve in the spots that I mentioned and also other aspects as well, and I really can't wait to play the game again this weekend. So that's it for me, guys. You can find my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/TylerShanks_. The link for that is going to be in the description. I also have a Discord server. Most of my stuff right now is more Valorant based because that's all I've been covering, but I do want to introduce more Paragon related stuff in the future. Also, I have a ton of old Paragon games recorded, like a bunch of different gameplays from a bunch of different heroes, just full start to end gameplays, and I have no problem uploading this to my YouTube channel. If anybody's interested in that, let me know in the comments down below. I can upload them all unlisted to my YouTube channel, and I'll put them all in the Discord server. So go and follow me on Twitch, go and join the Discord server, and like and subscribe and comment what else you guys want to see, especially relating to Paragon and all the remakes, because I really am into this game and I want to cover it more. Thanks again for watching, guys.